So that's quite a comeback from the West Indies. Then didn't quite get to 321, 322, which is what they got in their first couple of games. But still, 283 represents a tremendous comeback after being 121 for 5. And a big part of that were the two partnerships that followed, Shea Hope and Jason Holder. Hope's 95 was fantastic. I'm just amazed his record isn't better than it is. Holder 32. And then towards the end, Ashley Nurse 40 not out of 22. That's a famous name from West Indies cricket history. Nurse 40 of 22. And the brunt was borne by Khalil Ahmed, 1 for 65. And a name that you don't actually see there. Sometimes it's good if your name is not there because you don't realize how many you've conceded. Bhuvneshwar went for 70. Right, Ajay Jadeja is here. So is Zaheer Khan, 283. Anything you saw on that track to suggest 283 might be tough to get?
Didn't look like. I think wicket was on the slower side, like how Virat was talking at the toss has been the case so far in the match. But Bumrah, I think the guy is just phenomenal. I think he's by far #1 bowler right now in ODI circuit. I would say, like, he's got that. Anything which a fast bowler needs is there. You have pace, you have a good bouncer, you have a good slow one, and Yorker. So he's got everything which this format requires, and it's such a treat to watch him that he's doing things at ease. Like, it didn't look like he's coming back from a break. Looked in top-notch rhythm possible, and the figures also suggesting that. And the reason I think West Indies has not gone beyond that 300 mark is just one guy, which is Bumrah.
Yeah, 4 for 35 from his 10 overs. He's bulked up a bit. He's looking a much stronger young man than the little scrawny fellow we first saw in the IPL for Mumbai Indians.
Yeah, he's put on some muscle, and these days modern day cricketers spend a lot more time in the gym, and they all believe in putting on muscle, and you see that.
Why are you looking to your right when you talk about the gym?
No, I mean, the gentleman next to me has put on weight somewhere else at the moment, but he's losing it. He's getting ready for T10.
Getting ready.
Yeah. But it was evident. I mean, you could see Bhuvneshwar Kumar is no less a bowler, but on a given day, today especially, they look chalk and cheese. When Bumrah was bowling at the start of the innings, it was a different game from one end, and at the end, at the slog overs as well, it was totally a different game. That partnership that you mentioned, out of that 50-run partnership at the end, 20 plus runs came off just 1 over of Bhuvneshwar Kumar. So that whole partnership, half of those runs came in that 1 over.
So let's ask the fast bowling doctor. Both Bhuvneshwar and Bumrah have come back after a little layoff. Bumrah looks like he's ready to play. Is it because he's younger? He hasn't had an injury to speak of. His injury was a hand injury.
Yeah.
Is Bhuvneshwar still showing the effect of that back injury?
Well, I'm not sure because in Asia Cup he looked absolutely fine.
Yeah.
He was rusty to start with the tournament, but later on in the tournament he bowled beautifully, and that's something which I think as management and people who are taking the call right now needs to understand that if you have to give rest, I think you can afford to give rest to Bumrah. But I think Bhuvneshwar Kumar, because he's been patchy in terms of playing matches, not in terms of form, but because of his injury, he's missed since I think Jan or Feb. He's been playing matches, then he's been missing matches, and now when he played Asia Cup, you've seen the similar kind of story here as well today. After a break, he's taken one game to kind of get into things, and that's something which was seen today as well in Asia Cup against Hong Kong. You saw a rusty Bhuvneshwar coming back, but sooner just picking up rhythm, getting into that bowling fitness. I think he needs to bowl more and more. And if he's into match practice, that match zone, dealing with that kind of pressure, he will get better. So if you have to rest someone, then it has to be properly managed with regard to Bumrah, because it looked like the rest has done good to him. But in Bhuvneshwar's case, it looked like the rest has gone the other way around, where he's still finding his rhythm, he's still finding that zip through the crease.
Ajay, of course, doesn't know anything about rest because when he was an international cricketer, he didn't believe in resting much. He was
even I didn't believe in rest at all. I think I would team management had to literally force me to sit out, and if I'm playing regularly, I would feel that that the match practice is the best practice, and I would manage myself in the net practice sessions. So I would stay away from few net practice sessions. questions, because if you're in good rhythm, you need not go out there and just slog in nets. You much rather slog in matches and build those international numbers. I mean, that's what you train for. That's what you play cricket for.
Ajay, let's look at last 15 months. Then we've picked the 5 lead bowlers. Let's look at how much cricket they've played and how many overs they've bowled in the last 15 months. This is post the Champions Trophy of June 2017. Now, the number of overs, 540, 406. There's a time when people used to bowl 700-800 overs a season. But Bumrah has played 6 out of the 17 tests. Of course, he made his debut a little later. He's missed 13 ODIs, 12 T20s. IPL, of course, he's played every game. Are they missing too much, Ajay? I mean, how do you know what the right amount is?
Yes, I mean, and each individual, threshold of pain or strength is different. So you'd have to look at it that way. But this list that you see, Bumrah seems to have bowled the most number of overs, and we're talking of him being rested, Bhuvneshwar Kumar. I think the people at the bottom of that list, Shami Yadav and Ishant Sharma, they've probably not been rested. Ishant doesn't play any other form of the game, so he only plays Test cricket. Umesh Yadav was not in your scheme of things for one-day cricket, and Shami wasn't in your scheme of things for one-day cricket for a very long time. It's just the last 2 games we got to see them.
Zach, are those a lot of overs? Say you played a whole season at Worcester, for example. That was what, 2006?
Not really looking at that. Those numbers are not that much. And see, the thing is,
the reason I'm asking you the number of overs is to build a case on whether the more you bowl, the more rhythm that you get better, or whether there's a case to be had for bowling 100 overs, then pausing, bowling 100, then pausing.
I always believed in bowling more. That's something which keeps you going. You have less time preparing if you are bowling in match situations. As simple as that. Yes, if there are some niggles which have to be looked after, or you as an individual feeling tired, then you should manage yourself well. Like I was talking earlier as well, you can manage yourself in net practices as well. But it's end of the day very individual call. Some people prefer to bowl before the matches. Some people need that kind of practice before a match where they feel secured that I've ticked all the boxes and now I'm ready to play the match. I was fortunate enough to be able to manage my workload in terms of if I was bowling well, then I would not bowl in the nets. And that's something which used to help me. But if I was not in good rhythm, I'll make sure that I'm bowling that much extra. And it also depends on. So there are a lot of factors which go along in terms of making that decision. But when you look at these numbers, I think if you go and ask Bumrah, if he's playing regularly, he will feel more at peace. He'll feel that he'll feel more secured going into matches, and that generally is the case with each and every bowler.
I mean, if you're resting players in the Test situation, for example, you rested some players, some were injured, and then Umesh Yadav comes in, he picks up 10 wickets. Now, if you're not Umesh Yadav, if you're a Shami or you're an Ishant or you're Bumrah, you're suddenly thinking, but they can't drop him after he's taken 10 wickets. Now, what happens to my place?
But that's been the case with this team. I mean, it's hard to figure out. And I don't think, as Zach's already mentioned, I have not come across any players in my lifetime who would like to be rested when they were fit enough, even if the workload has been more. Because as a kid, why did you get to this level? The only reason you got to international cricket is because you love playing the game. And you are a fast bowler, you like bowling fast, you're picking wickets, you'd want to play. And there's enough rest. I mean, if you think of it, in a 5-day game, a test match, if Zach has bowled a lot of overs, then it must be a flat wicket, or the opposition is so good that you're going to bat twice. So you don't end up bowling more than 50 overs ever in a test match.
Yeah.
Either you pick up 10 wickets or you've been thrashed and you've been fielding all day. But the maximum would be about 50 overs a game. So in 5 days, it's 10 overs a day, average it out. Then you have 3-4 days of break and then you come back. So I think this workload conversation or the topic had been brought about when we had some Australian coaches that came to India when they wanted to juggle with those teams. And look what has happened to the Australian cricket. I mean, we're trying to follow what Australia did over the years when they were dominating. And if you look at that period when they were dominating, there wasn't a game McGrath was resting.
Yeah, they have three McGrath didn't rest.
No, so that's what I'm saying.
There are three brightest prospects, Cummins, Hazelwood and James Pattinson. Yeah. James Pattinson hasn't played for a long time. Cummins and Hazelwood are just coming out of a long injury period. Coulter Nile is coming out of a long injury period. So they're breaking down a lot there too.
See, if not injury and if we're talking about the rest, okay, so I think I would prefer rest in chunk. Like, if you have like, okay, here's your 5 weeks, go out there and just work purely on your fitness and go a level or two higher. So that's something which is beneficial kind of a rest. If you have small rest periods, then you are not here, not there. If you don't have enough time in terms of rest also to take your fitness level or have substantial effect on your game, then that rest is of no use. You much rather be managing yourself and going out there and playing as many matches as possible.
So before we end this discussion, how many overs would you have bowled in an entire season? Approximate, top of your head.
I've actually never looked at numbers.
No, 600-700 overs.
Not the number of wickets I've taken, not the number of overs I've bowled. It just used to be about going out there and expressing yourself and enjoying the whole process. So if there are days when you have to bowl 22 overs, there are days when you have to bowl 15 overs, but you have to enjoy the process. And the more you stay in the present, the more you enjoy that process, easier things are going to be.
You were saying something?
So, no, I was saying, if you look into numbers alone, if you go back into 70s, 60s, 50s,
they bowled a lot of overs.
They bowl a lot many more overs and had fewer injuries.
Yes.
And Zach just explained why, because it's a machine. The more you keep it used, it works better.
I mean, Wasim Akram played 11, 12 seasons with Lancashire, and as you know, if you're the star overseas bowler, you bowl a lot. So he's another one who's always advocating bowling more than jibbing. So there you are. The debate will always be open on whether you play or you rest. West Indies batted well again today, and one of my favourite West Indies batsmen again got runs. I'm just amazed why Shai Hope doesn't have a better record than he does. He's a good player. I mean, you are a batsman. You look at him from a batsman's point of view. He's got the shots. He's got the flair. He's a proper West Indies batsman.
Yeah, he's a proper West Indies batsman. And he gets to bat at the top of the order as well. There are some players who come in at 5, 6. Maybe you'd think he doesn't have enough opportunity, or he probably walks in differently. So it surprises me as well why he hasn't got runs. One thing what we saw in that last series when we were there, and you see common thing is, if it's a flatter track, he seems to be more comfortable. When it spins,
I guess you can say that about most batsmen anyway.
You could say that. So, but there are some players who can still adjust. The margin is not such a big one. But there are certain players who really can't get going when the wicket is slightly in the favour of batsman. So that could be one reason that the numbers don't show you. But this series, what you've seen has been fabulous. I mean, we talk about Virat Kohli getting 100 every game, right? And Virat Kohli is where he is. Here's this man who's actually scored as consistently as Virat Kohli.
He's got 190. Hetmeyer's got a 90 and 100.
He's missed out 2 hundreds now, 95 today. So it's only 10-15 runs. That big 100 is not there, but he's been as consistent as Virat Kohli and as destructive.
The moment they get into a shorter form, the white ball cricket, they seem so much more comfortable. Test match, 120 for 5. You'd say, I think West Indies will get 160 all out, maybe. Here, 120 for 5, they've got a 283. It's just as if they're made to play this game, right? Someone like Nurse comes and hammers at the end. And, I mean, how much did all of us enjoy that semi-Nataraja shot?
I think the key is the anchor role. And when we're talking about Shai Hope, I think one of the things which he himself as a batsman has figured out is that he's got more time in the middle. Sometimes you get caught up with the format, and this is where the simplicity of thought process comes into play. And now if you look at the first 3 innings of this particular series, he had taken enough time in the middle. The first innings which he played in the series, he had faced about 52 deliveries to get to 31 runs. So that's something which he had been told. He has himself figured it out, whatever the reason may be. But one thing is very evident, that he is not rushed. He's saying that, okay, I'm just going to play this anchor role, and the fact that others are chipping in they're able to achieve this kind of totals because Shai Hope has been there. If Shai Hope has gotten out, then things would have been completely different, because then it's the one similar kind of intent going from both the ends, and in that process you can lose wickets in cluster. But that is not happening because of the anchor role. And I think for West Indies cricket, for them to do well in ODI format or the shorter format as you're talking about, which the most important thing is who is going to play that anchor role. If Shai Hope is in this kind of form, then they will get to these kind of totals more often than not. But if he gets out early, then things will be different.
I actually wonder, everyone thinks the West Indies are behind the game at the moment. I'm starting to think whether the West Indies aren't ahead of the game, because the future is in the smaller game, and the smaller game, they have bench strength as well. Look who's not playing in this side.
Gale is not playing in this side. Pollard is not playing in this side. Narayan is not playing in this side. The two Bravos are not playing, and Russell is not playing in this side. And yet they're making 280, 300. So maybe in the future of the game, they have a better bench strength.
Oh, definitely. I mean, this game is meant for them. I mean, around the world, and the names that you mentioned, they're ruling any league that they're playing in the world, and these are the most destructive players. So if the game's going that way and you want to play the shorter version of the game, this is a better side. If you bring them all in and try and play a game against them, I think probably the results would be totally different.
It'll be interesting to see where someone like a Hetmeyer goes, because the West Indies are producing a lot of players who then no longer play for the West Indies, and then someone else has to come in. Take a look at how much they've missed playing for the West Indies in recent times. You look at Chris Gale from 2011, he's played 260 matches. I think he'll probably end with a few thousand. He's played 12 of the 69 tests, 64 out of the 145 tests. Look at the number and the numbers in bracket. The number in brackets is the total number of games. The number alongside is the number that they have played. Look how many they have missed. What that has led to is the emergence of a Shai Hope or the emergence of a Shimron Hetmeyer, which is not happening in Test cricket. That's a different form of the game, where this kind of flair is probably a disadvantage.
The other day we were talking about the same thing, and the concerning fact is that the West Indies international cricket team has become a platform. So these names, what you're seeing on the screen, has been a regular part of West Indies team, which were representing in different international matches, and they have used, well, not used, but it's become like that. As West Indies international cricket team has become a platform to get noticed, and then they will become the pro of different leagues. And for West Indies cricket to go forward, that at some stage needs to be stopped.
I mean, once it comes down to T20 cricket, then you'll get Carlos Brathwaite coming in again. Russell will come and start playing. In fact, some of the most valuable players around the world are West Indies players.
We probably won't have Hetmeyer playing for them in the next series. By the time IPL comes and he gets picked up somewhere and he'll be gone again.
Harbhajan was saying in commentary, "मैं agent बन जाऊंगा, मुझे 10% दे देना."
Bilkul. I think this is what we were talking the other day when saying that it's just a platform anyway. The boys now in the West Indies team also probably look at it as a platform, because unless they go and showcase their talent around the world, nobody knows. Once they do this, then the teams pick them up. And once the teams pick them, they're not ready to play for West Indies, because the West Indies team, it's not just the professional bit. I think it's the way it's been run as well. In the last 10, 15 years, the way the issues there have been between players. Dwayne Bravo, who's not picked anywhere else in the world, has a problem with the board, but he's been left out. And he's
Darren Sammy finishes career. We're not talking about Darren Sammy.
So
he still plays in the T20 league somewhere, and the game is not over till Sammy is batting. So that happens too. So there's so many others. You talked about the administration. It's a major problem that cricket is looking at the other way from. So it's a problem around the world. Now the Indian batting, chasing 283. What do you make? Anything on that track? I asked Zach at the start.
Yeah, the track looks pretty good. Only thing is, last time I remember a couple of games, I don't know, it was against Sri Lanka in the evening, the ball did move about. It swung a bit. It was a 20-20 over game, but we were bowled out against Sri Lanka as well.
Dasun Chanaka, Kasun Rajita, Dushmant. I know. I was there that game
against England as well.
Yeah. Against England there was
the first part, they 3-4 wickets.
So if there's any concern, that would be my concern. And with our batting, which is very solid, but when the ball moves, we are a little vulnerable. So you don't want to lose our wickets at the top and let West Indies in, because at least this side has shown spirit. You look at all the 3 games. In fact, the fast bowler, there's one who's playing again, we haven't seen, so it's very difficult to judge whether he can do something. But if the ball moves, we are in trouble generally. That's the case. So that's my only worry. Otherwise, Virat Kohli will just do what he does every day, get another 100.
Rohit is in great form, Virat is in great form. Maybe Shikhar Dhawan wants to score. But there's a part of me still saying that if India, I'd love to see Dhoni produce a score in a run chase again. I mean, behind the stumps today, he's had a fantastic
day. I think
day.
once the platform is set, and if the top order allows him to do that, because you have Raidu also batting at number 4 now.
So Dhoni at 5 is now fixture, right? He's not going to go up.
Absolutely, I think that's going to be the case. You would expect that.
He's shaking his head so hard.
He's going to be 4.
Rishabh Pant at 5. You played even Dinesh Karthik ahead of Mahendra Singh Dhoni.
So you want
the last
Dhoni at
couple
6?
of series when both them played in the team, Though DK went in, batted at 4. Dhoni was still at 5 and 6. You know, for the last 1 year, since he's not been
Where would you like Dhoni to bat?
Oh, I would, from that last West Indies tour, I've been saying that he has to bat at 4 for a simple reason. He takes a lot more time to get settled in. You know, striking comes only when you can probably deal with it.
He's a push-start car, you think?
You know, there is no doubt about that. If anybody who's been watching Indian cricket, it is, and not just him, it's with every sportsman in the world.
But you're right in that his best innings in recent times have come when he's had that time to start, and then he becomes closer to the Dhoni we used to be.
When he was captain at IPL, when he was captain himself, he moved himself up there. But the team management, this team management, seems that even Dinesh Karthik, when he's playing, goes ahead. Last game we saw Rishabh Pant come in ahead of him. So it'll be at 6. I mean, that's what I'm only an observer. I don't make any decisions.
So you want him at 4, but you think he'll be at 6?
Oh, I would always want him. If he's in my side, I would want him at... What is Dhoni for us over the years, last 15 years? There is no problem. Everybody says he's the greatest finisher. What does that mean? So once he gets in, he sees you through. So if he can get in and he can see you through, then the sooner that he gets in, it's better because he can control the game. But at the moment, maybe not in this game. In fact, in the last game, I thought Rishabh Pant could have walked in when Raidu walked in because he's a new guy. You're making a side. So there are a couple of things that you have to look at when you're playing against a team which is a weaker team and you're building a side for the future. So that calls are different because no matter who bats at what stage, we've generally won most games, at least against this West Indies. So it's not a strategical point that you got to make in this city, in this series to win a series. These series are when you build your side and there are moments that you got to encash on.
It's not the strongest bowling attack that this India is up against, right? This West Indies is not the strongest bowling attack. They're good, but they're not the strongest,
It's decent. I think, you've seen McCoy also has been impressive. In fact, I would have loved to see O'Shane Thomas. He was very impressive in the first game. You have...
McCoy, Roach, Holder, and then Allen and Nurse. That's your bowling.
So on the whole, for Holder, there are 7 bowling options. It's just that against this strong Indian batting lineup, if you don't get those early breakthroughs, you're always going to have a tough day, and that's something which they have to find a way. They have to find a way of getting those top 2 or 3 wickets, and then put pressure on the middle order.
Gettable?
Absolutely, there's no doubt about
it. Gettable?
Oh, no. Of course, but although
there are roles on this program.
Having said that, I must say last game when we looked at the wicket in the first innings and I totally misread the due, which Mr. Khan had read beautifully. You would think that West Indies won't get even close to that total, which they did. So that's why I say due and that swing factor is what I'm worried about.
Mr. Khan looks at a wicket and tells you what kind of roller could have been used in the break. So he's thoda alag.
Mr. Khan on certain days.
That's why I call it Khan Sahab. Khan Sahab is special.
Okay.
So it's just that movement, and then otherwise it shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, well, where is it? 283 as the series goes. 320 hasn't proved to be too difficult, but we'll see how it goes. Remember, overs number 15 and 35. We'll come back with Uber presents Cricbuzz Combox. So we'll wait and see how this run chase goes. We think it should be gettable, but you never know in a game of cricket.